I just came across some massive guitar news, and I personally believe that this could honestly change the way that we play guitar going forward. It's something that people have been patiently waiting for a very, very, very long time. If you haven't already figured it out by the thumbnail of this video, multi-scale Evertune exists, and it's very likely that it's going to be available very, very soon. And if you don't know what multi-scale Evertune is, just imagine that you have a guitar that is perfectly intonated, it plays perfectly well no matter the weather conditions, it's good tension on the low strings for chugging, it's good slinkiness on the high strings for playing leads, never goes out of tune, never pitch drifts. Just imagine that guitar for a moment. That is eventually where we might be ending up in the near future, and by the end of this video, you should have a pretty good idea of why that would be the case. Earlier today, I was scrolling Facebook and I saw a photo of what seemed to be a 7-string guitar, only with an Evertune bridge that was slightly slanted. Now, my first thought straight away was that this has to be Photoshop. There was no way that this image could be real. I know the guys at Evertune, we've done collaborations before on the channel. I play Evertune pretty much exclusively now. I literally cannot live without them. If you've been living under a rock and you don't know what Evertune is, it is a guitar bridge system that keeps your guitar in tune all the time. And that might sound like it's too good to be true, but I can assure you that after having it on literally 4 of my own guitars at this point, it does exactly that, and I'll explain how later in the video. Despite Evertune always keeping their cards, close to their chest, they're very secretive of what they release and stuff. They're very slow to release things. They've been more than happy to share info with me in the past, which is why when I first saw this photo, I just had a thought that if it wasn't coming straight from them, then this photo just can't be real. However, I was then made aware that this screenshot was taken directly from a video that was posted by Pascal Langala, who is the CEO and founder of Aristides Guitars. If you haven't heard of Evertune, you probably haven't heard of Aristides Guitars either. So if you don't know who they are a custom guitar company based in the Netherlands. But what makes Aristides Guitars so special is the fact that none of their guitars are made from any wood at all. The body, neck, fretboard, literally every single component on the guitar, none of them are made from wood. Without getting too into it, because we could be here for a whole other video, the guitars are made from their proprietary material called Arium, and the way that they actually make the guitars, as you can see with this body here, it's literally a custom mold injection. So the guitar is made in a mold and then it gets lifted out, and that is the guitar. So basically they're not normal, right? They're a bit weird. However, keeping that in mind, the theme is that Aristides has always been very well known for pushing the boundaries in guitars and design and adopting like very niche and very specialized modern features within their instruments, which is why after finding that out, this screenshot seemed a lot more plausible. However, I was still a little bit skeptical, so I wanted to find out where this screenshot originated from. So I did some digging. I went to Pascal's Instagram, where he's literally showing it off in his Instagram story. So clearly they're not trying to hide it at all, which is why I don't really feel bad for making a video about it. Either way, I was super excited when I saw that because I knew how big this could be. So excited, in fact, that I literally put both of those photos up on my Instagram story immediately because I knew that you guys would lose your mind just like I did. And I was 100% right, and I knew that would be the case because anyone who plays modern guitar, anyone that knows what an Evertune is, has been hanging out for this for so long and knows how big it could be. One of you guys saw the story, got in touch with me, and let me know that this screenshot in question was actually taken from a live video that was broadcast on a page called Arium Addicts, which then led me to finding out that Arium Addicts is a closed Facebook group for Aristides owners only. So if you're thinking about joining it, chances are you probably won't be let in because the first question they ask is, what kind of Aristides do you have? And they ask you all these questions. However, in saying that, for whatever reason, I was let in pretty much straight away when they saw my request, and I didn't even give any answers to the questions. So again, if they really wanted to keep it a secret, they wouldn't have let me in. Moving on, the first thing that you see when you're in the group is an 11-minute long live video of them literally showing off the guitar in vivid detail. They go through how exactly they made it, what had to be done, and it is a multi-scale Evertune in action. This is something that I and many other modern players have been asking for a very, very long time. And in this video, again, they go through what it is, how they made it, who the guitar is for. Now, without giving too much away, this guitar was made for someone who is a good friend of the channel, who knows Aristides guitars and Evertunes really well. If you don't know what an Evertune bridge is at this point of the video, allow me to explain. Without getting too deep into it, otherwise we'd be here for another half an hour. The Evertune is a guitar bridge system that is designed to maintain consistent tuning no matter what. It either comes with a guitar from factory or you can get it retrofitted after the fact, but it does this by utilizing a spring and lever system built into the back of the bridge, which locks the tension of each string in individual saddles. And the result of this is a bridge that, no matter what the weather, what the humidity, what the temperature, how hard you play, how soft you play, what tuning you in, how old your strings are, no matter what, those springs will always compensate, and this bridge will always keep your guitar in tune. For touring and studio musicians especially, this is an absolute life changer and something that I genuinely don't want to live without since getting one myself. So much so that I literally have USA variants of the same guitar that I don't play anymore because I have Indonesian made counterparts that have an Evertune in it, and I play this all the time. I never pick up my USAs anymore because the benefits of having an Evertune are so heavy in my use case scenario at least, but definitely for a lot of other people as well. So why is a multi-scale Evertune bridge such a big deal, and why might it change guitar forever? Buckle up because we're about to get really nerdy, but I promise that this will make so much sense by the end of it. For modern guitar players especially ones that are tuning super low, which let's be honest is majority of them anyway, there's always been this constant battle with string tension because when you want to keep your guitar in tune at lower tunings, it's very hard to do that. For example, I have songs that are in drop F on a 7 string. That is almost a whole octave lower than a standard tuned guitar. Yes, an Evertune bridge will keep your guitar in tune basically no matter what, and no matter how hard I play, but the string tension itself is still determined mostly by the thickness of the string that I use. I don't want my strings flopping around when I play, and at the same time, I don't want to need to use a literal bass string on my guitar just so that the tension holds. In my experience, using too thick of a string just makes things sound muddy, it kills the overtones, it doesn't sound nice. The max gauge that I like to go for is like a 0.74 or something like that. So my only logical solution at this point would be to increase the scale length of the guitar. Now the scale length is the distance between the nut and the bridge saddles, and that will determine how long the string is being stretched across the guitar, which will determine how tight that string is. But even then, running a guitar with a ridiculously long scale length will just affect how it feels to play. It's super long, the frets are super spaced apart. It feels like playing a bass, really. And then there's other things like, again, the high strings are affected by that as well if it's a straight scale length, because, you know, if it's being stretched like ridiculously long, those high strings are going to feel really tight. They're going to be really hard to bend. And when you start getting past the 12th fret, it can actually sound really ear picky, some of the notes, and it just starts to sound a little bit harsh, especially on the high strings. So as you can probably tell, it quickly starts to become this cat and mouse game where you're trying not to put ridiculously thick, like literal bass strings on your guitar, but at the same time, you don't want to have a guitar that's really, really long to accommodate the tuning because it'll just be really hard to play and it'll be really difficult to do some stretches. So how does a multi-scale Evertune address this? Well, a multi-scale Evertune would combine the benefits of both multi-scale design and Evertune innovation. And the multi-scale aspect would allow better tension on the low strings while maintaining a slinky feel and manageable playability on the higher strings for lead playing. So because the scale length is longer on the rhythm side, you get more tension. And then because the scale length is shorter on the treble side, the strings aren't being stretched out as far. So you get a little bit more of a slinky feel and a little bit more manageable playability on the higher strings for lead playing, as opposed to a straight scale guitar that would just be ridiculously long, both top and bottom. And then the Evertune would then build on that and pretty much give you all the benefits of the Evertune on top of that. So things like never pitch drifting, having rock solid intonation, never going out of tune, not being affected by weather, having, you know, just a really rock solid instrument. So in theory, what you would get is a guitar that not only feels better to play across both, you know, the rhythm side being tighter and the treble side being slinkier for solos, but it also holds up in those stupid low tunings that you plan to put it in, and it sounds better and it just functions better as well. At the time of making this video, the multi-scale Evertune system is still a prototype and isn't made by Evertune directly themselves. Evertune gave Aristides the green light to kind of mess with the parts and the Evertune system just to see what they could do with it. That means that in the near future, after this video is released, the only way that you probably be able to get one or try one is to get it directly from Aristides whenever they decide to release it. But I'm going to tell you right now, this guitar won't be cheap, man. This is going to be so expensive. Aristides already start upwards of 4,000 to 5,000 euro, but having a system like this, as you can see, like the Evertune base plate is not like proprietary Evertune. It's custom made, it's custom printed, custom aluminium. This costs a lot of money to make, especially in such small numbers. So, you know, due to the fact that the only way that this can be made at the moment is by Aristides making the custom parts themselves, there will be a hefty price tag on these guitars whenever they get released. But what does this mean for guitar players now though, and what can we expect in the near future? Well, if it was my guess, I would say that it's only a matter of time until other companies who manufacture Evertune guitars start investing in their own resources into retrofitting multi-scale Evertune systems within their guitars. That is, if Evertune don't come out with an official one themselves. Will I get my own? Maybe. I've owned multi-scale guitars in the past. If you go back on the very earliest videos of this channel, you'll see me playing one. I ended up parting ways with that guitar because I wasn't really set on the benefits of multi-scale, and it would kind of just ruin the ability to mod it and stuff like that. Like changing pickups is a bit of a pain because of the pole pieces and how it's fanned. It's basically impossible to change the bridge, all this stuff. Like it's very hard. However, a few years later, I might be willing to reconsider as I find myself tuning lower and lower and lower. And I'm not really too fond of the idea of getting a guitar that is like stupid long to accommodate the stupid tunings that I'm playing in sometimes. Let me know what you guys think about this, and if you would ever try out a multi-scale Evertune yourself. Do you think that we are coming to a point where guitars basically can't function any better than what we're making them function as right now? I certainly think that with the technology around us today, it's definitely making it much closer. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video at any moment in time, please feel free to leave a like and a comment on anything you saw or heard. And if you want to see more stuff like this, definitely think about subscribing. If you want to support me directly, things like Patreon, all my affiliate links, every way that you can support me will be down in the description below. Massive thank you to all my Patreons, and massive thank you to you guys for sticking around. I know it was a long one. This is very exciting news, and I'm very interested to see what happens in the near future. But until next time, I'll catch you guys later. Thank you so much for watching. Ciao.